Hey you, it's Nikki here from Dyslexia Unpuzzled. What I want to talk about today is why do the words move or go out of focus when I'm trying to read? This is a fascinating topic inspired by Ron Davis's groundbreaking book, The Gift of Dyslexia. Have you ever heard someone say the words are moving on the page? It's a vivid description, but for many people with dyslexia, it's not just a figure of speech, it's their reality. So why does this happen? What's going on in the brain? Let's break it down. To understand why words seem to move, we need to start with something fundamental. How a person experiencing this perceives and interacts with two-dimensional symbols like letters or words on a page. This is what is referred to as dyslexia. Essentially, dyslexia is a learning difference that affects how a person processes written language, making it harder to read, write, and spell. Reading relies on symbols. Letters are symbols, and words are made up of these symbols. Symbols can be challenging because they're flat, static, and lack context. However, here's where it gets fascinating. The natural way a dyslexic or neurodiverse mind resolves confusion with symbols is by trying to decipher them. Since dyslexic individuals often think in pictures, their brains instinctively attempt to interpret the symbol in 3D. Imagine, if you will, holding an unfamiliar object in your hand. You might turn it, flip it, or view it from different angles to figure out what it is. The dyslexic brain does something similar with words and letters on a page, creating a mental image and rotating it to make sense of it. This process, however, can lead to disorientation. When disoriented, the brain doesn't process what the eyes are actually seeing, but instead it interprets what it thinks the eyes are seeing. This can distort the visual input and make reading even more confusing. This attempt to interpret a flat, two-dimensional symbol in 3D is where things can get tricky. It often triggers disorientation, and when a person becomes disoriented, their brain is no longer processing what the eyes are actually seeing. Instead, it processes what it thinks the eyes are seeing. This can cause the letters or words to appear as if they're twisting, flipping, or even sliding off the page. It's not just a feeling. It's the brain's creative and dynamic way of compensating for confusion. In one of my case studies, my client told me that the O's spun around like disco balls for her. Disorientation, however, doesn't stop with just sight. It can also affect hearing, balance, and even the sense of time. The ears might hear a sound, but the brain processes what it thinks it heard, which might not match the reality. The sense of balance might feel off, and time may seem to speed up or slow down. It's a full body experience, all triggered by a moment of confusion. So what can we do about this? The first step is understanding that disorientation is a natural response to confusion, not a flaw. Once we recognize the root cause, we can work with it. One of the key tools Ron Davis advocates is helping individuals identify the moment when confusion begins. This might involve noticing the feeling of frustration or realize when words start to move. Once they're aware of these triggers, they can use grounding techniques to reorient themselves and stabilize their perception. At Dyslexia Unpuzzled, we use these specific techniques to help individuals gain control over their disorientation, enabling them to focus accurately and be certain about what they're seeing or hearing. It's important to remember that it isn't about fixing dyslexia, it's about equipping individuals to work with their unique way of thinking while overcoming the challenges that come with it. If you or someone you love has ever said the words are twisting, flipping, or blurry, know that this experience is real for them and it's rooted in how the brain processes information during moments of confusion. By understanding what's happening and equipping ourselves with the right tools, we can turn these challenges into opportunities for growth. Thanks for joining me today on Dyslexia Unpuzzled. If you found this episode helpful, or if it gave you a fresh perspective, please share it. Share it with a friend or leave a review. And don't forget to subscribe. There's so much more to explore together. See you next time.